All right, scholars, good morning. Welcome to Activity for Processing 2.22, which will get you ready for Cooldown 2.22. As always, I'm going to ask that you have your notebook in front of you to take notes. And if you can welcome yourself after I do this problem, feel free to rewind, post the problem without the work, hit pause, try to do it for yourself, hit play or fast forward to the solution so that you can view the steps and the solution and see if we can come to an agreement as to how this problem should be done. That's how we should be doing this. So without further ado, let's do it. All right, so we have once again rational equations, a ratio on the left and a ratio on the right. You will notice our ratios are a bit spicier this time around. So what we have here is a cross multiplication between this denominator and that numerator. So I'll draw a small little pink arrow here and then kind of just bring it down here. Okay, so it's x plus 1, x minus 1, x plus 2, and we create a product with those three values there. Okay. Now we're going to cross multiply this denominator that I'm hovering over and this numerator over here. And put the result right there. This product. So we got 2 times x plus 1. Excellent. All right, so now to go ahead and advance into the next step, we can proceed a different number of ways. So I'm actually going to help myself here. I'm going to conduct some multiplication between these two items in parentheses here. Actually, I think I want to do these two because I notice that x plus 1 and x plus 1 are in common on both sides. Will that have some meaning? I'm not sure, but I'd love to experiment with that, see where I go, right? So I'm actually going to conduct some cross multiplication, some multiplication between x plus 2 and x minus 1. So I'm going to put them next to each other in orange. I'm going to write the x plus 1 over here. Okay, so now I have these two values, x plus 2 and x minus 1 written next to each other. Now I'm going to conduct some FOIL, first, outside, inside, and last. Some of you may recall that as the box method. So x plus 2 times x minus 1. Actually, let me just draw the box. I was going to not draw the box, but it doesn't have to draw it to show my students. But there is a tool available to organize your work. We have used this before in Algebra 1, where the outside values are multiplied to create the inside values. You combine the like terms, which are usually the diagonals. In this case, we have 2x and 1x. Add them up, you get 3x plus 2. So I was just going to go straight ahead, right? X squared plus 3x. I think I forgot to put a negative here, negative there. Copy that for myself, and then 1x. So you get plus 1. Put parentheses there. Over here. I'm actually going to undo this movement. This was not an incorrect calculation. However, I'm trying to be strategic here as to how I do this. Because remember what I told you a few steps ago? Is that they both have x plus 1 in common. That's going to come into play right now. So right here, I have a product of two values. And over here, I have a product of two values. I can actually help myself. And you guys see with some vision, I was able to see that I can divide both sides by x plus 1. So I could have done distributive property, but then I would have missed this really great opportunity to divide both sides by x plus 1. So sometimes you just have to have some foresight or look ahead. It could have been easy to miss that. Now, if you did miss that and you calculated through, I promise you, you still get to the answer, and just in a different fashion, a different path. Okay. So let me go ahead and write this down. I have x squared plus 1x minus 2 equals 2x. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. You notice that I'm going to write the 2x beneath the 1x here. They're like terms. 0. These two cancel out. Put a small slash there to indicate that those two values were inverses and equate to 0. All right, now this part also requires some old skills, prerequisite skills, as you say. So we need to think. There are two numbers that add up to give us -1 and multiply to give us -2. So I like to do it like this. Two numbers that add up to give me -1 and two numbers that multiply to give me -2. This is like a little diamond method, as some people call it, or the X method, whatever. It's just a graphic organizer, a way to organize your work, your thoughts. You really don't need this. You can just kind of tell right there. So what I'm trying to say is you just wrote the numbers here, but I'm going to go ahead and just kind of organize the work for my audience. So I need two numbers that add up to give me -1 and they multiply to give me -2. And I'm going to put those two numbers, which I'm going to write right here. They go right here. Okay, so I'm thinking to myself, I think those two numbers should be -2 and +1. So -2 plus +1, if you punch that into a calculator or do it in our head, should give us -1. Then it's good to go. And then multiplying those two, -2 times +1 should give us -2. So it works for the sum and for the product. So we're going to go ahead and put -2 and +1. Now this part should not be anything too interesting or weird for our students. We know we switch the signs. And the reason we're allowed this shortcut is because if we set x minus 2 equal to 0 and solve for it, we get x equals 2. If we set x plus 1 equal to 0, solve for it, we get x equals -1. Therefore, we have our two values of x being x equals 2, x equals -1. And if you want to verify that this is correct, you can plug x equals 2 into the entire equation for every position of x, calculate, and then if both sides equal each other, then your answer is indeed correct and good to go. You would then repeat this process for x equals -1. You would plug it in, check if it works. After substituting every single x for -1, if the left and the right equal, then -1 is also the correct solution. All right, thanks folks for letting me go ahead and show you the steps of how to solve a rational equation when the spiciness level is turned up on the heat. And allowing me at the bottom to show you how to do some FOIL when we multiply two parentheses, and also kind of just giving you a crash course, a refresher on how to do factoring there. All right, thank you for looking at example 1. Erase it, go back to the top, see if you can do it by yourself, along with the two more difficult steps because they're from way back in the day. See if you can also remember how to do the FOIL and how to factor. All right.